morning, everybody. Friday, and we are live, ready to take you through the course of what hopes to be a very good weekend. I mean, it's getting colder, but also, as JP says, first off the mark this morning, says, remember, this is your last weekend of electricity, South Africa. Enjoy it while you got some. When we do this show next week, we can have 10 less lights.
Yeah, maybe for you, JP. Some of us woke up to no electricity.
Oh, shame. Simpiwe, they've already cut the East Rand off. Ladies and gentlemen, the government knows that the East Rand is full of very dodgy people. So they are cutting you loose already. Oh. Shame, Simpiwe. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like it was such a...
Yeah, you were like
I wasn't ready. Like
it's like, for example, you're living with somebody and things are going really well, and you think, wow, this could be a long-term relationship. I'm enjoying this. Mm-hmm. We get along. Mm-hmm. It's honest. It's decent. It's good. We can cook for each other. We both clean up. It's like this is working, you know, and we laugh and we have good times, and then suddenly they turn into a monster
overnight.
And you're like, this isn't what we agreed.
This is not who I fell in love with. Like, you're not the Gareth I once knew. How could you change before my eyes?
Oh, poor you. Oh, man. All right. So we have a lot to get to today. Yes. It's funny. I went and I gave a speech yesterday at a conference. Yeah, these things happen from time to time. I think they must be running low on people, but they called me up. It's second year in a row I've spoken at this, the New Gen awards and conference that they do, where they're really focused on marketing and where like people's heads are at in terms of what's going on in South Africa, generationally, how messaging lands or falls. And it was very, very interesting. And I took the opportunity to remind people that, first of all, I said, I'm really happy to be here because I'm not talking about politics.
Oh, great.
Because really, like, we've all had a lot of politics. And I think everybody's a little bit sick of it. So expect, certainly from Friday next week, where Simpiwe and I will be in Cape Town for a little bit of a change in the stuff that we'll be doing. I mean, Fridays we try to keep free of that stuff anyway. But I said to them, you know, there's a responsibility among all of us to kind of just lift the country up a little bit and put out positive messages and also be a bit brave. Because I feel like marketing and advertising and media, people are just doing what's safe. They've been very careful. And I'm not going to tell anyone else to put themselves in the firing line. But if you are in corporate South Africa and you think you could just hide behind the barricades and, you know, wait, well, I think life's going to become a little bit more testy for you. At some point, you're going to be tested. You may as well do it now. You might as well jump into the fire now, stand for something, or end up falling for everything. And that goes for everyone, from people who have small businesses to people who run little, community centers, to people who are hustling to get whatever the money they can at this stage and in this economy. So we all have to be brave. No one who is not brave is going to win. And you may as well jump in now. Get involved. Say you care about this and this and this. Say you don't care about that, and then at least we know what we're dealing with. You know, there's a lot of like bullshit messaging out there too, especially from the politicians. They're promising us the world. Did you see Cyril promised free funerals as part of the NHI?
Oh wow, guys!
Does
he know how expensive? I don't know about the Jewish and Caucasian community, but black funerals,
Caucasian community,
black funerals are very expensive. Is he going to pay for that entire mourning period?
This is so cynical because he won't, and the NHI won't. I mean, as it is, it won't be able to cover the costs of. We're an unsustainable economy at the moment. There's a small number of people who are actually employed, and you've got something interesting that DJ Zinhle actually said about that. Small number of people are employed who have to carry everyone else.
Yes.
And that small number just can't. It's you do the maths and it doesn't work. So for him to be promising even more, it shows you, first of all, how desperate they are. Because if he's promising even more free stuff, eventually you run out of other people's money. That's what happens. But I do have a bottle of fucks to give. Yeah. So this morning, this is one of the last fucks I have to give.
Okay.
And I'm not going to waste it on Cyril or on the politicians in general. So there it is. I've only got a few, but I'll give you one of the fucks to give.
Thank you.
There we go. All right. So we got a lot to do. Nico says, what happened to the start tune at the beginning of the show? There are still some things we're tidying up, Nico. We also miss it because we don't know when to start, actually. So we're figuring that out. We're going to have monitors put in the studio, and then we can really have a party.
Yes.
In fact, on a Friday, we may just dance at the end of the show like Ellen DeGeneres used to do when she was trying to make people think she was a nice person. Remember?
Let's not go back there.
Do you remember her? Yo, she used to do the most work up on her feet, getting all her guests to dance. She would dance. It was just also...
Everybody loved her until the truth came out. And they're like,
what
that
a bitch. Snap. Wow. Wow, it's so nice starting a day with such negativity. Sure, says Common Sense. That's not negativity. I'm telling people to be brave and to wake up and grab the day. And you're thinking that's negative, Common Sense? I don't think you have any common sense. Not this morning. Anyway, I mean, we have to refer to some of the things that are actually going on in the world. And that was one of the big stories that the president's saying, oh, no, we'll cover your funeral. With whose money? Are you going to pay out of your own pocket, Cyril? Because that seems like the only way we could actually afford it. You know, that pala money that's...
maybe that couch money, hey?
Yeah, I mean, if you keep refilling it, that's maybe where we could get it. Okay, Snipes wants us to bring back rock interviews and live music on a Friday. Maybe we'll do that because we can now. I mean, we can do anything we want in the studio. So yes, perhaps. They were busy recording a pilot yesterday for a brand new sports show, which we'll be bringing you soon. I know that a lot of people are very, let's just say, dissatisfied at how we only do sport on a Friday and a Monday, and South Africans are obsessed with sport, and plus it's on my show and I don't know the first thing about sports. So if you're coming here for that, it's more a you problem than a me problem.
You've come to the wrong place. I'm sorry.
like Simpiwe and I are going to be watching the Formula One.
Sure, and we know cars and who's winning and wins.
So what we're going to do is launch a brand new, first of its kind, really fun, it's going to be, you know how Top Gear talks about cars and they make cars interesting for everybody.
Oh, yes.
Well, back in the days of Clarkson and May and Hammond. That's the kind of thing we're going to do with sport. And I think you're going to enjoy what we're planning. So that is something to look forward to as well. Plus, I'm interviewing a guy today who I think a lot of people would be interested in hearing from. That is Robert Kiyosaki.
Ooh, I know that name.
You know, he's the guy who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which has become like a handbook all over the world. It's probably one of the most read books about money in the world. And he's in South Africa, and he's going to join us for a recording today, and we'll play that out live next week. So stand by. It's very exciting. Don't forget also, you get the day off on Wednesday, so you can go and vote.
Please do.
Yeah, but also plan your stuff. I mean, like, there are those people who are very, very organized to get there at like, what time do the polling stations open? Like 7 or 8?
Yeah.
That's maybe too early.
Yeah, I mean, some want to avoid the queues.
I think 9. That's sensible.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I've never had to experience the whole planning of my day. And let me tell you, so I had a plan, right? You guys all know I had a plan that like this year my grand's not going to vote. Like
you're going to lock her in the house.
There's somebody that actually told her when voting day is.
Oh, no.
And now she's just like, yeah, next week. No, we are going. And I'm like, yo.
Because she's old school. Dyed in the wool, ANC. She's going to vote ANC.
She's going to vote. And so now my new
Simpiwe, by the way, for anybody who doesn't remember this, Simpiwe said, and I think your grand might have got wind of it, or one of her friends who listens to the show, they're like, that bitch Simpiwe, we'll stop her in her tracks. So Simpiwe was going to lock her gran in the house and not tell her when voting day was.
Yes.
But I mean, there are posters everywhere. There's stuff on
the chick,
TV.
But she never leaves the house.
Yeah, but she watches TV.
Yeah, but it's not like she has like her soapies that she watches on repeat and on schedule. I can tell you what the time is by what she's watching, right? That's how I know my grandmother. And the trick was, I was like, yes, we are voting this year. I just didn't tell her the exact day.
And now Zinhle Kumalo says, please hide her ID.
Yeah, I wish. But you see, now I have a different trick because I know that like she's all excited. She's like, next week, Wednesday, we're going. But she needs help with the actual like cross, you know.
No, but you can't go in with her.
No, but because my grand's older, right?
Is she voting the day before?
No, she votes on the day. She goes straight in front of the line, which is the great thing. So I don't have to be in line as well because I'm with her.
Good.
And then she needs so I could probably, whoever assists her, because I can't, just be like, just make sure it doesn't vote ANC. I don't know. I'm thinking of another plan, trying to play my part, but yeah, my plan is my grand's voting next week.
Well, Cyril's going to be pleased about that. He was counting on her.
Yeah, he was.
Even though your electricity was gone this morning. All right. So Snipe says grandkids must hide old people's IDs on election day. Well, yeah, I told you that terrible statistic of like 80 to 100-year-olds there are more of them voting than young people. It's insane. This is a crazy country. You cannot tell me that we're normal and sane. Really. I mean, it's madness. So you got plans for the weekend?
Yes, I'm going to run errands before the Cape Town trip. Oh, and then my earring falls. And
is that your earring? I thought something had unplugged.
No, that's my earring.
Okay.
Run a couple of errands. I need to restock on my vitamins. Because I'm that old now.
Okay.
And do some shopping. It's month end, and now you have to like restock, pay this, buy that, which is always fun.
So that's what you're doing. It sounds like an old person's weekend, actually. I'm going to stock up on my vitamins. Simpiwe, you're like the youngest person by a New York mile on this show, and you're going, I'm going to stock up on my vitamins. I mean, maybe you and your grad are actually very similar. You just don't know it, right?
I mean, if I want to age like fine wine, so you just have to do the vitamins, the exercising, the drinking water. I have to start doing all of that, taking that seriously, because 30 is knocking and my knees are going to get weak very soon. And I'm just like,
Oh, boy. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we have a lot to do this morning.
Yes.
So much to talk about.
What are you getting up to?
What am I doing this weekend? Do you know what? I actually have some family stuff, just seeing family. But otherwise, I have a clear weekend, which I'm so excited about. I might just do nothing tonight, which is the best, because now it's getting colder, and like, why would you want to go out, right? I know that sounds boring. Lots of people are like, come on, go out, stimulate the economy, spend some money, have a few drinks, see your friends. I'm like, I have a fireplace at home. Why the hell would I go anywhere if I could sit there and make something nice to drink, put on the TV, watch some series? That's kind of, to me, that sounds like heaven.
Oh, it really does.
Yeah.
Oh,
not
no,
that under a little blanket.
Yes, and you have your favorite snacks. Okay, I don't know how you do it, but with your favorite
I know
snacks.
how you do it. So Simpiwe has this, she has like a smorgasbord. There's the second time I've used that word this week of stuff that she brings out. She's got like sweet things, sour things, salty things.
Of course. So I don't have to leave for the next 4 or 5 hours.
Like a tray.
Yes. All my favorite goodies. And then it's either I'm binge watching on a series or I'm watching a movie. But that's me in that position for the next couple of hours. And no one can get me to move.
I don't have to say this, but I'm going to. Like and subscribe, because otherwise you know how it goes. We need you to tell us what you're up to. And you must join in the comments for that. We can't do it any other way. So please get in there. We want to see what everybody's up to. Sango says, in my village, they say we must vote for the ANC. Otherwise, we lose our 350.
Lies.
I can't believe Simpiwe is using her grandmother just to jump the queue. That's ridiculous, says Vincent.
Grandmother privilege.
Grandmother privilege. Hey, if you have to take the old lady up to the front, you get some benefit. Otherwise, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
I can believe that. I often go to a small coastal place near Port St. John's. I got a WhatsApp from someone who has exactly the same story. It's part of their logistics. It's disgusting. They're both going at you for going with your old person. I don't think that's such a problem. I think it's very nice. I think it's lovely of why are you people so mean first thing on a Friday morning? Have you had a bad week?
Also,
really?
When you think about it logically, I transport her there. I also still need to vote. And if I stand in the queue, then what happens to my grandmother?
Yeah, what's she going to do? Dehydrate in the car?
How? So it just makes sense that the person that is accompanying her also goes front of the line so that when she's ready to leave,
she's park her under a tree and like
we leave
she
together.
Has to exactly.
Guys, it just
It's funny how people get excited about a Cape Town trip. We do this every day. Well, yeah, you see, Zinhle, the whole point of this Cape Town trip is we're doing it for first-time travelers. So we gave away 2 free trips on Warris and PH's show.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got 2 winners. And actually, I think Mapelo is one of those winners because Mapelo is paying attention.
Yes.
So Mapelo will be going to Cape Town with us. We got quite a lot planned for that day or 2 that we're going to spend in Cape Town. There's going to be some really fun stuff. And for people who haven't traveled before, staying in a nice hotel, flying for the first time, going to some cool restaurants. I mean, I don't see any downside to this, if you ask me.
And I still get excited if it was any other province. If you told me we are going to Gqeberha, I'd still get excited. You know what I mean? I'd be like, yay!
Well,
I don't know what we're going to do, but yeah, it's a free trip. So.
All right, so tell me about this thing with DJ Zinhle.
Ooh, got it.
This video that's gone viral. What's happened?
So, this has the internet up in arms at this particular moment in time. DJ Zinhle was doing an interview. I have not watched the entire interview, but in that interview, there's a snippet that's gone viral where she talks about the struggles that she's experienced as a businesswoman and having to employ people for her stores. So DJ Zinhle has a jewelry store, right? So retail. And she said 2 things that made South Africans very upset, that not only is the South African youth unemployed, which is facts, they're also unemployable.
Oh.
Yes, and now people were up in arms saying, how dare you say that, DJ Zinhle? Like, what do you mean?
Okay, well, she's absolutely right. And I said that in 2010. You can go and look at my original letter to the president. I think that was the first time that term was used for why we have an employment crisis. I said the young people of this country are not just unemployed, they're unemployable. So here's DJ Zinhle. I'm sure she came up with this on her own because it's not hard to observe this.
Mm-hmm.
But now she's getting the heat that I got 14 years ago. She's right. You can get upset about it. But the fact is, there are so many people in this country who are looking for work that an employer can afford to be as picky as they want. But the quality might not be so good. And that's maybe why so many people find themselves unemployed. It's an ugly thing to have to deal with. But it's the truth. You can't get angry with DJ Zinhle because she's telling you the truth.
I think people will also say, because this is retail, like, what kind of skills do you exactly need?
People skills. Huge.
Yes. And I was going to say, if you look at the kind of experience you have, like going to Checkers or Home Affairs, where people are just rude and unprofessional, you realize that they need those soft skills and interpersonal skills. And a lot of South Africans tend to think that there's certain jobs beneath them. You know, that the fact that I'm a cleaner, like, what do you mean? I'm better than this.
Or the person who packs the bags at the grocery shop.
Yes, and they do it with such attitude. And at the end of the day, it's like, but this is your job. You get paid for it. And I'm not here to make your life harder. I'm just asking where this is, or can you help me pack that? So I think to that very large extent, she is very right. Like, in terms of, you can have the qualification.
Sure.
But even the soft skills of just being able to engage with other people on a professional level is a lot of the time missing with the SA youth, because they got an attitude, you know?
Yeah, I also think that people who aren't participating in the economy, let me be as gentle as I possibly can, they seem to think that other people create jobs so that those people can be employed. The reason someone needs to do a job is because a job needs doing in order to make a company money. Otherwise, why hire people? Most employers, given half a chance, would have less staff, not more. Not because they're selfish and greedy and want to keep the profits to themselves, but because if you can do more with less people, you're winning. It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody has to employ more people than they do. And if Zinhle is struggling to find good people in retail, that should tell you it's tough. It's tough to find real talent, and it's tough to find people who have the right attitude. And let me tell you, if you've got the right attitude, then it doesn't matter what your qualifications are.
Yeah, boy.
We've discussed this so many times on the show. People with degrees, it just gets your foot in the door sometimes. But most employers are less interested in what you did at university and more interested in what kind of person you are. And that means technically, if you've got the right attitude, if you are a hard worker, you are more valuable than someone with 4 degrees.
Oh, yes.
You know, you've got to remember that. I mean, Gail says, I just closed down my QA department and replaced it with AI. So that's what's going to happen in a lot of places. This also came up at the conference I was at yesterday. Someone asked a question of the marketing director of Vodacom and said, you know, do you think in a world of data analytics and all of this stuff, we may be replaced by AI? And she gave a very diplomatic answer. She was like, no, there's always going to be a human element, and that's true. But I think slowly but surely, there are going to be certain jobs that are just, the machines do it better.
Yes.
You know?
And you've seen it.
Home Affairs, 70% of the people I encountered were very rude on Tuesday when I was getting a temporary ID to vote. That's what Patrick says. Well, you see again, government is like sheltered employment for a lot of people. I miss the checkers till workers and bag packers in Vienna. You have to pack your own shopping. I get PTSD when doing grocery shopping, says Nikki. Yeah, you know, there are 2 or 3 places I go to where I just know the people there work. They're really cool people. They're friendly. They're happy. They're nice to deal with. And then there are 1 or 2 places. I'm sure you have them too. But you just know, oh boy, okay, I'm gonna have to pay at this counter. This person's a problem. They're like, what do you want? How long are you gonna be here? What do I have to do? Do I have to do this? You know?
And then you get embarrassed to just ask a question or just be like,
oh my God.
Like you feel as if you did something wrong. You'd be like, I just want to say sorry right now. And
it's unreal.
No, man.
So yes, I mean, this is an ongoing problem, but it's not just a South African problem. If you're feeling bad about it just being us, it's an everywhere problem. I mean, people, a lot of people don't want to work. They think work is punishment.
Yeah.
Like work is not a punishment. Work is one of the reasons that you live. You have to do things. You have to leave a mark. You have to make a difference. You have to contribute in some way to society. I saw a really interesting clip of Jimmy Carr, the comedian, talking about how he reckons trust fund kids actually have enormous mental anguish. Now, I know we think about this. We're like, oh, it must be nice to be born a trust fund kid and you don't have to worry about money. But I think those people struggle with what they're there to do, because spending money doesn't give you a sense of purpose. It's nice to, especially if you earned that money, because then you're taking the hard work and you're turning it into things that you want, or investments or whatever. It's nice to, you know, use the coffee mug that you bought with your own money, as opposed to, you know, just being given it. You just get given it. You're like, well, if it breaks, it breaks.
Yeah. I mean, I totally understand, but I'm also at that point where just try me now, guys, with the trust fund. Like, I'm tired of struggle.
We've heard what you want.
Different this life could possibly be if money was not an issue. Well, you know, I'm just saying, just try me.
Simpiwe, she's asking again. She's making it clear what she wants. So I love this story because it is Friday and we want to make people feel good. So just listen to this. The youngest painter in the world has taken the art world by storm. His name is Ace Liam Nanasamankra.
Is that a South African?
No, Ghanaian.
Oh.
But this kid has achieved the incredible feat of just at just a year and a half of age, he started painting. When he was 6 months old, his mother realized his talent. He was officially honored with the title of the world's youngest male painter just the other day. Look at these pictures. Isn't that cute?
That is.
And this is a talented child. I mean, I know that a lot of people like modern art, and who doesn't like a bit of color? You know, if you were going to put something up in your house, wouldn't you rather put one of these up than one of those prints that everybody has?
Yeah, like where was he when they were doing the portrait of King Charles? Like,
he would have done a better job than that, right? Yeah, of course.
Sure.
So I love this because he was officially honored with the title last Monday after 5 months of waiting for Guinness World Records to ratify their attempt. To qualify for the record, they said he needed to be part of a professional exhibition that was open to the public, and he had to sell some of his work. Added the work needed to be done to a professional standard and evidence presented that it was done on his own. So his work was exhibited at the Museum of Science and Technology in Accra in Ghana from last December until early January. He sold 9 of the 10 works. That's amazing. They were on display and was even commissioned by the First Lady of Ghana, who attended the exhibit. The child turns 2 in July, and has sold 15 paintings throughout his career so far. He's set to host an auction soon. I love that.
Put the kids to work.
See?
This is a great campaign if you ever wanted me to have kids. Like, this is what you can do with your 2-year-old.
Simpiwe immediately looks for a way to exploit the 2-year-old.
Like you could have a child that's in the Guinness Book of Records. You can have a child where his artwork is. This is the kind of campaign they should be doing if they really wanted us to have more kids. Like, I think this is great. Put the kids to work. I love it. Let them pay rent from a young age and understand what taxes are from a very young age. Man. I'm for it.
Well, I just love the fact that there's also this kind of talent. And you talk about, people who are lazy and grumpy and resentful and don't do their job properly. And you see this kid who at like under 2 years old is already doing it right. Like, what's your excuse? Mm-hmm. What's my excuse? Wish I'd started just putting colors down on a canvas when I was a kid.
Just mixing.
Damn, man. Could have done that. Anyway, we've got some sport coming up with Ben. We've got lots of other cool things, including somebody who's been in the news a little bit, Dube, who's a comedian, an MC, an actor, an influencer, and a voiceover artist. He'll join us a little bit later on. There was a smelling like a Zimbabwean scandal, which he started. He's from Zim. But he said this and people were like, what? You can't say that. Everybody's upset and angry about stupid shit on the internet.
You have to be so kosher now. Just,
calm down.
Yeah.
It's like we discussed with Jack on Wednesday, like all these people who are performing online to an audience that didn't ask them for a performance. Get over yourself. So here's an interesting story. The Pope.
What did he do now?
Has cleared the way for God's influencer to become a saint. So there's a London-born teenager who's been spreading Catholic teachings online.
Okay.
And he's been called God's influencer, set to become a saint.
Oh.
Now, he died in 2006, age 15, meaning he would be the first millennial person born since the early 1980s to late 1990s to be canonized. Follows Pope Francis. By the way, that would mean I'm also... No, I'm on the cusp there. But I mean, like millennials. So millennials are from 1980. Is that right?
Yeah.
I always wonder where these borders are. It just sounds to me like they make them up.
Like that.
They change them all the time.
But we have the terms millennial, Gen Z, and then just the other day, someone was like, actually, you ancient. And that's the new term.
Wow, someone called you ancient.
Yes. And they were like, anyone
imagine what they'd think of
who's
me.
over the age of 25 is ancient, because there's these new terms that I can't even keep up with. But it's like, anyone above the age of 25, that's the new term that all the young kids are using, ancient.
Well, this kid, shame, he died at 15 in Monza in Italy after being diagnosed with leukemia. But while he was alive, he was spreading the word. He was like a modern day online missionary. And there are lots of other miracles that they have. If you're going to become a saint, they have to attribute miracles to you.
So what did he do?
I would be like, well, I only woke up an hour and a half ago. So it's a miracle I'm here. Does that qualify? Can I be sainted?
Did he, take out demons?
Yeah.
Did he speak in tongues? Did he... What
he did, so first thing he did is apparently he healed a Brazilian child of a disease affecting his pancreas.
Oh.
If you could do that, why didn't you cure yourself, dude? Just saying.
Okay.
And then there was a first miracle which they don't specify. These things are hard to prove, Simpiwe, in case you didn't notice. Hard to prove a miracle.
So if I start coughing and you just pray for me.
And I go, and then you suddenly get better. Yeah. And if Simpiwe is healed, then basically I'm a saint. Oh. That's what I'd like.
Oh, okay.
So that's a cool story. I mean, this stuff used to happen all the time in the Middle Ages, but now, with the advent of social media and cameras everywhere, you have to be able to prove that you made a miracle happen.
Yes.
Difficult.
So there's a pastor. I don't know if we can call him a pastor, but he's claimed that he once was able to perform a miracle of growing two ladies' toes back again.
How did she lose them in the first place?
I have no idea. And he's like, there was a whole bunch of us were praying for her at her house, and the miracle took place. And we have footage. And, obviously the internet was like, show us the footage.
Oh my God.
A week later, he's like, to protect her, I'm not going to
Oh, what
post
lies.
this. And
Yeah,
then
of
we were all
course.
like,
Of
"Sir,
course. Yeah.
are you sure this is a miracle that took place? Or you
Snake
just
oil.
Mm,
What a lie. What a disgrace.
mm.
Deceitful people in the business.
People lie all the time.
Well, I don't know if anyone in the audience has made any miracles happen lately. You're welcome to tell us if you have. I mean, I'd be fascinated to hear what kind of miracles Zinhle and Congo Chris and Carl de Santos have made. I don't know that there are any. Speaking of Zinhle, he says, those little transgender illiterate douches that can't even speak or spell, how dare they call us ancient, disrespectful brats. Yo. Now, what is the generation after Gen Z? Alpha.
I think so.
I think it's called Alpha. That's what it is.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Nico says that pastor probably farted on her feet. You remember the pastor who farted in people's faces and they paid him for the privilege?
Let's not go back because then we're going to start talking about the one who made them eat grass. And
And the Doom.
oil.
The one who sprayed Doom in their faces. There was that guy too.
Tough times we were living in. Tough times.
Shani's claiming a miracle. She says, I've made some people smile. Well, yes, that especially if it's a very grumpy person, that could very easily be a miracle. So well done, Shani. Hey, Ben.
You prophet.
Which one?
Prophet Cyril. You say your dog gets free healthcare.
You get free everything from Cyril.
I mean, I've heard some shockers, but that one was probably out there.
Yeah, that's right out there. All right, Ben Karpinski's here, everybody. How you, Ben?
Nice,
How's your
guys.
morning
Yeah,
going?
good, hey? Good. I like the new art piece you've hung next to yourself there.
Yes, the Madiba.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Very nice. Yeah.
Very good, yeah.
You like
People
side.
People think I'm secretly campaigning for the ANC because I've got him on my poster behind
Well,
me.
I mean, each their own. Hey, this is the beauty of democracy.
You can vote for whoever you want,
So
Ben.
don't do it.
I'm not going to tell you.
Confuse the enemy. Like,
By the way, if you had complete strangers come up to you and ask you who you're voting for, because that happened to me the other day. Like someone walked up to me in the street and they're like, "Who are you voting for?" And I'm like, "Who the hell are you? Why are you asking me
But
that?"
that is how the Vryheidsfront actually campaigns. They go person to person.
Wat vir wie stem jy? Stem jy Vryheidsfront Plus?
No one's actually asked me like that. But this week I felt so deflated how dumb people are.
Oh, why, Ben?
I've looked around at social media and cheapest people are so stupid.
Yeah.
Like the idea of voting and all these things gets you all upbeat. You start thinking about stuff. You think big picture, and then you realize that people are just dumb, and they just fall for lies. Oh, guys,
that's so harsh. Like you just realize people are.
I've got no other way to describe this to you. It's deflating how stupid people are and how they all they just buy into all the lies and bullshit.
You know why? Because we've spent a lot of time in the last 6 months learning about democracy, speaking to all the party leaders, finding out about the manifestos, all of that stuff. And then you meet someone who's really stupid on social media, meet them, and you're like, that person has the same amount of votes as I do.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know. They did nothing to earn it. They certainly don't deserve it. Why did I go to the trouble of learning? I could have just gone on the ballot paper because it would be the same. That's what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm. Basically.
No, again, this has frustrated me this week. I haven't come here to be frustrated. Well, I can't.
All right.
It just hurts my head how people just take such low roads. They never try to find a better way, and they just subscribe to stuff that's stupid.
All right. One thing I've got to say I'm grateful for is I haven't received any calls from political parties. I know family members and friends of mine have. I haven't received any of those really annoying, unsolicited calls like, "Hi, this is X and Y from X party." Remember that Musi was big on that when he was in the DA, remember? "Hi, this is Musi Maimane."
It's absolute suicide because why would you want to get a call from somebody?
No, it's terrible.
No
one answers calls anymore. And I think it would negatively affect you. Like
hugely.
it would make you not vote for those people. So I think they've stopped a lot of that.
And that must be expensive as well.
Hugely expensive. They're paying some company to sit in the call center with a recording and play it over and over again. There's one guy who presses play the whole time.
Well, I just thought it was mostly in the call center.
All right. Well, Ben, luckily only 5% of the population is on Twitter. Yeah, but that makes you wonder about the rest who are not on Twitter.
Look, that's a very good point. It is. But then the other people, again, I don't want to get into this. I've already mulled this through in my head and I got deflated about it.
Okay, but we're going to let it go now?
Yes, we're going to let it go.
We're going to do a Musa?
Very good. Let it go. No more profits.
Right,
no more miracles.
None of those. So, all right, it's time for a little sport beyond the scoreboard with Ben Karpinski. It's powered by Superbets. What have we got this morning, Ben?
Well, Gareth, I can tell you this much. We have a fantastic weekend of rugby because it's finals weekend.
Let's go.
Finals weekend. So the big cups, as you know, France play the top 14. England play their Gallagher Premiership, whatever. South Africa, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, and Italy play the URC. Those are all the domestics. Then you get the Investec Champions Cup, which is the Champions League of that, basically. So we've got Saturday, Leinster versus Toulouse. Now, these are the two biggest teams in Europe, rugby-wise. This is kind of like if Real Madrid was to play Bayern Munich or insert big team here. Now, Leinster are basically the Irish team. There's 19 Oaks in the Leinster squad that get paid money who are already playing for Ireland.
Okay.
19, okay? So that's a lot of players, a lot of international players. We've got Jacques Nienaber as the defensive coach, who, of course, was the Bok coach.
Right.
So these Oaks are structured. They're really good. They've got their shit together. They have beaten everyone quite handsomely in the Investec Champions Cup to this point. Now, they've been in the final the last 2 years, but they've lost to La Rochelle. So, third time lucky, you would think. On the other side of the coin, you got Toulon, Toulouse. I never know what the thing is. I know there's like this long French explanation, but basically let's call them Toulouse here. So, they are another superpower of the Europe. Antoine Dupont, he is their talisman. He's their main player. An irresistibly attacking team. So we've got the best possible final. We've got the structure and like the ability to win all kinds of games with Leinster.
Okay. And
then you've got your old school French flair, charisma, charm, all those wonderful adjectives. So that's all happening this Saturday. So it'll be at 4:45 South African time. And the great thing about this game on top of that is being played at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Now, if you are a Spurs fan, you win nothing. So at least there's going to be a title happening at your stadium this weekend.
Why did you do that? Why did you build us up just to tear us down?
No, well, Spurs deserve it. They couldn't beat Man City a couple of weeks ago or get a draw, so you know what? Screw them. So that's where this game was taking place. But as an added bonus, tonight at the same stadium that doesn't ordinarily see titles, we've got Sharks versus Gloucester in the EPCR Challenge Cup final.
Sure.
What a double header, huh?
Wow.
So that'll be 9 o'clock tonight. Now, the Sharks, they've played in 4 Super Rugby finals, and they've Spursed it. 0 titles, right? Now, 5th time lucky here. We've got I know it's like a secondary trophy, but you try tell Atalanta and Bayer Leverkusen that, because they just played for the Europa League Championship, and that was a really big deal. So that's this tonight. Like, you got to think the Sharks on paper should be the better team. Unfortunately, there's no Lekanyo injured. He's out of this one.
Oh, no.
So Gloucester, they've also been pretty toilets domestically. They've put everything in to try and win this thing. But yeah, on paper, I don't know half of that team. I'm not exactly looking at that team and going, the Sharks are going to have to do everything to beat this team. So the Sharks, after their semi-final win, I'm going to back them. I'm feeling quite, I don't know, boyish, upbeat about them, bullish. Whatever.
Bullish is the word.
Bullish.
Oh. Boyish as well. I mean, it's past that for you, Ben.
You know what? I went too hard on Toulouse with objectives. Now I ran out of everything for the Sharks there.
You mined rock bottom and you kept on digging.
Went too hard. All right, so football, also championship weekend. And I tell you what, Spurs are still not in this one.
She saved that for the sting in the tail.
FA Cup final, Saturday at 4 o'clock. Man City versus Man United. For many, this is like the dream FA Cup. Because at Wembley, again, huge game. Man City are overwhelming favorites here. Huge favorites. If you go to Superbets right now, I think you'll get about 7, an odds of 7.2. So that means 100 Rand down, you'll get 800 bucks back. So if you are a Man United fan and you've already lost so much emotionally this year, have a little dabble on that. You've got great odds that the guys are going to do the impossible. Right. And I do say it's the impossible because Man City's Man City. They really are an incredible team. All the lawsuits aside, the financial fair play aside, they field a damn good team. And it's going to be better than the Man United team 99 times out of 100.
Sure.
But let's aim for that 100th time, right? Let's all pull together. Not that Man United is ever like a neutral team to support for anybody, because people either support them or they hate them. But Saturday at 4 o'clock, FA Cup final, that's pretty exciting.
Depends how the person in the car with the Man United sticker on it drives in the traffic in front of me.
Yeah,
That's how I decide.
Man United fans, if you want good juju this weekend, just be nice. It's probably a departure.
It's going to be difficult for them.
Probably a departure from your characteristics, but be nice. And then this weekend in the PSL is the final round of fixtures. So this is it. We know Sundowns won. Sundowns basically won this about 12 months ago.
It's like with those people who used to get like 85% for their tests in the year and didn't have to write the exams.
That happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly you did
never
not.
know. You never got 80%. So
Nobody was actually
just roll up for the exam every time.
Nobody was clever at my school. We win everything.
Your school was out in the wilderness, wasn't it? I mean, you had to cook your own lunch.
No.
Over an open fire.
School was the most civilized part of my upbringing. No, my school was about sports, chicks, and underage drinking.
Okay.
There was no one not writing that final exam. Everybody was sweating on it.
Nothing wrong with the 90s.
Anyway, back to the PSL. So we've got the final round of fixtures. Chiefs are the champions. Sorry.
No,
Sundowns. Chiefs are the champions.
You're going to take it away from us. Holy hell.
For the pieces here. All right, so it's important that you finish second in the PSL. Because if you finish second, you get to play in the CAF Champions League. If you finish third, you play in the CAF Confederations Cup. Have you heard of the CAF Confederations Cup?
Yes. Isn't it once called CONCACAF or something?
See, you're already way off the money here. The thing is, like, the Champions League is like that's where the big money is, right? So the best teams in Africa play in that one. If you make it to the Confederations Cup, it's other oaks. So look, I mean, it's still a big thing to do because you're still playing continental football. I think that's how they would phrase it. Okay. So between those two teams, we've got Stellenbosch, who are currently 1 point ahead of Pirates. So these are the two teams that are vying for that last Champions League spot. And this weekend, so all the games are going to be Saturday at 3:00. So there's no match fixing or skullduggery.
Right.
So Pirates are going to be taking on Supersport United, and then Richards Bay will be away to Stellenbosch. Richards Bay will be hosting Stellenbosch. So those are two really big games to look out for there. So much at stake here.
Do Richards Bay even have fields?
Of course they do, yeah. The fields, teams, drunk miners, I mean, they've got everything.
Right.
They've got a golf course.
Okay.
Yeah. No, they've got rich people as well. Richards Bay's...
really? Where?
Well, I mean, obviously behind huge walls, but I mean, there's a section there where people are quite wealthy. So that's Richards Bay versus Stellenbosch, Pirates versus Supersport United. Those are the big ones. Another thing to look out for dynamic-wise will be the top 8. So Chiefs, who are now basically like a Man United of SA football. They maybe were once good. They're never going to be good again.
Shame.
No one knows why. And all their fans will fight me on that. But they are holding on to 8th place right now. 8th place. 8th place. But you need to finish top 8 to get into MTN8.
Wow. That's really piss poor.
It is piss poor. It really is. Now, I don't know if they just got, rested on their laurels or whatever it is, but they're not great. Anyway, they have a bit of a stroke of luck because they'll be taking on Cape Town Spurs. Now, Cape Town Spurs, relegated, gone, fallen away, terrible team. So Chiefs just need to win this, okay? Destiny's in their own hands just to win that because even though there's other teams on the same points as them, like Polokwane City, Amazulu, the goal difference isn't quite as good. So Chiefs just need to win this weekend. Chiefs fans, simple equation. If they don't, though, then it gets a bit murky. Anyway, back to the Chiefs. They're definitely going to win that one. So there's lots to look out for in the PSL. Into the cricket, we're into the finals of the IPL.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. It's normally like a 7-month tournament that people lose track of, and then everyone comes together for the final. So Sunrisers Hyderabad, they finished second, but they lost to the KKR in the first playoff game, so they have to play today versus the Rajasthan Royals. The Rajasthan Royals beat the Royal Challengers Bangalore.
I really admire the way you keep bringing up the IPL.
It's finals weekend.
I admire that, Ben, because actually I don't think anyone cares anymore.
Sunday's final will be KKR, top team this whole season. They'll be playing against the winners of Sunrisers Hyderabad and the Rajasthan Royals.
Okay.
I think that's enough, right?
I think that's
cricket
good.
fans. You
that's
got it.
Plenty.
You got it.
Sanela is complaining, says, please just say something about Formula One.
That's the very last thing. So, as you can be my witness,
yes,
it is the last thing.
All right, good.
He's leaving the best for last.
We've got the most overhyped, boring race of the season ahead, the Monaco Grand Prix.
Really?
You can't let me say like he's leaving the best for last and then you start off with that.
Isn't Monaco the best one because
if you own a yacht and you've got like, I don't know, young girls around you, sure.
But aspirational, Ben. We're all aspiring to be those guys on the yachts.
Then that's great. That's not Formula One. That's pimpdom.
Okay, well, you can do that now, right?
So Formula One, You can do it anywhere. But like Formula One, the last few weeks has actually been very good because Lando Norris, actual Ned, not a Star Wars character, he won in Miami. Fair and square, he won.
Okay.
Then last week, in the Italian, somewhere, I forget what it's called, but it's in Italy. It's like a long name. It's not the Italian Grand Prix, it's something else. That was also a great race last week because Lando Norris pushed Verstappen all the way. He finished second, but he pushed him all the way.
Okay.
So Lando Norris is like really great. There's a lot of good drivers right now. They're really great. So much so that no one even talks about Lewis Hamilton anymore. He has to go to Ferrari for people to talk to him again. But Monaco Grand Prix is crap. Whoever's on pole can basically win the race because you're going through the streets of Monaco. It's tiny.
Right.
It's not a great technical track. It's shit to watch. And if it wasn't for like helicopter aerial views, nobody would watch that race. It's not a great race. And motoring purists can say what they want. It's not a great race. But that is this weekend. If you like Formula One, Monaco Grand Prix. It's a cool thing to say, On Sunday, I'm watching the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah, it is. We were thinking about what we're going to do this weekend, so you may have given some people, a plan.
What I would say is that tonight and tomorrow, rugby, huge. Go for it. I'm putting $100 down on Investec Champions Cup, Leinster to win that one because they can't lose 3 finals in a row, and the Sharks have to win. And for my last check on Superbets, my $100 will get me $280 back just by backing those 2 teams for a win. So I think that's a pretty good bet. And of course,
better than the stock exchange will give you.
Pretty much at this moment. Of course, this is not financial advice. This is
no.
Advice.
Ben, no one's coming to you for financial advice.
Very
Calm
good.
down.
And that's pretty much it for this weekend. We've got a lot of sport coming up in June. So for the final weekend of May, I would say that is a pretty decent spread for us.
I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, so Ben has helped you here. Superbets, of course, supports responsible gambling, not like Simpiwe does, where she throws it on red in the casino. Strictly no under 18s. Winners know when to stop. South Africa's Responsible Gambling Foundation's toll-free counseling hotline is 0800 006 008. Exciting times. Okay, so there's a lot going on in the news this week. I do quickly, before we move on from the sport, there are a couple of comments here that I thought were interesting and useful. KNA said that Monaco is boring as hell, agreeing with you. Can we include Fat Bear Week in the sports report this year, says Congo Chris. This is an old thing from the show where Bear Week was like a week for hairy gay men, which was celebrated in the US. There are lots of different holidays and days to mark all kinds of things. Apparently there was a Fat Bear Week. So
I've heard of bears. I didn't realize they were now fat. Is that just a mark of society that big gay men are now obese?
I've got a friend who's gone on a bear hunt.
Now they're getting hunted.
Listen, not that kind of bear. Like that kind of bear.
We need to slow this conversation down a bit.
No, one of my friends sent me a message from Tennessee in America. He's going into outback rural Tennessee, like 20 miles from civilization. They have to take everything that they're going to use. They're staying in tents. They've got crossbows and guns and fishing rods. They have to live off the land for, I think it's 2 weeks. And the purpose is they've been licensed to hunt a bear. Isn't that cool? I mean, I would love to be on that. Am I the only one?
Yes.
Okay, I'm the only one.
I mean, like living off the land, amazing.
But not hunt a bear.
Nah, I don't think you should be killing things that will kill you. And like hand-to-hand combat, cool. But don't go there with a crossbow, hide behind a tree and go, I killed the bear.
All right.
I'm one of those people. But I'm just glad that not some big gay man is getting killed. Because that would have been... Boom.
How you doing?
This guy's going on. What's Cecil doing behind the tree?
You're so brutal.
I'm not meant to be here. This I heard someone with camp. All right, very good. We have some other interesting things to get to this morning. Ben wants to talk about Australia. We don't really pay much attention to Australia anymore because Australia's become so safe and boring.
Yeah.
There used to be a time where Australia was all the rage. I don't know if you will remember. You remember Steve Irwin, the crocodile guy?
Yes.
Okay, so he was probably the most famous Australian of the last 20 years. Before that, there was Crocodile Dundee. There were prime ministers of Australia who were hard drinking, partying, womanizing, famous guys. What was his name? Malcolm Fraser and Bob Hawke.
Yeah.
Those were 2 famous Australian
decent blokes.
Premiers. Yeah, they were. They were always drunk, even in Parliament. They were real Australians, Now, Australians are just they're the kind of people. I mean, there's no real difference. Maybe the accent is the only difference between them and like a housefrau from Saxonwold. They live these very safe lives. They don't really do anything. They go to the same shops every day. They like their frappe red mochaccino done a certain way. That's like the most exciting thing about Australians these days. They're not interesting anymore. So what did you find that was interesting?
No, I found something that was quite weird in that, my whole thing with politics is try to have less governments in the world.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I was frustrated earlier.
But Australia is the wrong place to look then, Ben.
But I know. And then you look at all these different sort of ways about that. And people say, you want to live life and do these other things. But Australia still has a luxury car tax.
No.
So back in the 90s, I think it was John Howard or whoever was in charge.
Yeah.
They used to make cars in Australia.
Okay.
Right.
So they wanted you to buy those cars.
Okay.
So if you wanted to be some, flash git who wanted like a Ferrari or an Audi RS6
They tax you.
So there'll be a tax. So they'll say, okay, right, every car over $70,000 or whatever it is, you got to pay 30% tax to the dollar after that or something. But that was in the 90s, okay? Australia haven't made cars in like a decade.
Yeah.
That exact same tax still exists. So if you want to have a nice car in Australia, you import the thing or comes out forever, gets that sort of threshold, and then you got to pay this huge tax.
Oh, wow.
So if you want to buy...
And who benefits from that? Because it's not the local market, it's just the government. Just the government make money.
It's just that. So they have no reason for this tax. But it's also one of those things that I think they keep it because they want everyone to be quite the same. And they want you to buy electric cars.
Australians hate very, very rich people more than anything. They also don't really like very poor people. They hate rich people.
They're like the tall poppy kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
That sounds so mediocre.
It is. It's such a weird thing, but it's like it's still in place. So if you want to go to Australia and live the high life, there's all these other taxes, and this is one of them.
There's no high life.
But the interesting thing about this is that if you have like a bucky, because it's all about these strange like grading things, right? You can have the world's most expensive bucky and you won't have to put any other tax on because it's seen as a ute which carries things and goods and stuff.
You might be a tradie.
Yeah.
Or a licky.
So you want to buy a Porsche or something nice, you'll get hugely taxed on the top end of that. But if you want to get the most expensive bucky in the world and do it up and stuff, great.
Okay. Well, that's why I drive a piece of shit, says Vincent. It's good. Ben mentions a luxury car tax and gets the side eye from Simpiwe. If Simpiwe was in charge of the government, she would not put any tax on luxury goods.
No.
She'd make luxury goods far more affordable, and in doing so, they wouldn't be luxury goods anymore.
There's certain things I'd be like, no, we still need to gatekeep, still need to make sure that not everybody has access to it. But yeah, I'm definitely the one who loves the finer things in life. Hey, so for me, that tax is boring.
I forgot two very, very famous Australians who deserve an honorable mention as being among the last of the true Australians with real Australian culture. Chopper Read.
Well, he was a criminal, so I mean...
that's why I say it. True Australian, right? True Australian. And then Shane Warne, obviously. Proper Australian.
Killed by vaccines, yeah.
Yeah, killed by vaccines.
That was also... But Paul Hogan?
Paul Hogan, but he was Crocodile Dundee. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, but Paul Hogan as a person, he was actually... his travel videos were some of the greatest pieces of advertising in the history of eyeballs.
Right.
And the story behind that is he just went to these oaks because he wanted to become big in America so he can get into movies. He's like, you don't have to pay me. Just pay the money for the production. And then all he did was...
You don't have to pay me.
He went throughout Australia and just like banged chicks and just got hammered. And then he made these amazing videos. And then people in America are like, that guy seems fun. And then he got Crocodile Dundee.
He had a hat with crocodile teeth in it.
That's smart dude.
Yeah. And almost as good as the hat with the corks around it,
and
which
he was
is very
like
Australian.
Laying cables on bridges prior to that. Then he ended up laying cable all over the world in a different sense.
Somebody says here in the comments, this is bizarre. I didn't know this, but apparently you don't get a bag that's heavier than 25 kilograms in Australia because they're very cautious about everything. They don't want you to hurt yourself. So anything that weighs more than 25 kilograms, they won't sell you.
Wow.
I mean, wow, that's ridiculous. Sometimes I'll put 50 kilograms in just one Checkers and then
to make one trip.
So I can do one trip. Yes. Do you also do that though when you unpack the car?
Always.
Oh, yes.
I will put them, so I'll have lines almost like
You
blood
put things
contusions.
right under the arms, and you like
So you
have
can only
3-5 plastics,
Right.
and you're like, I'm making this one trip and one trip only, and that's it.
I'm not going back.
I do that with a 3-story apartment as well.
Yo,
You do that with a house. You cruise in.
I just cruise in. It's way easier for me.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay, so there we go. Can't carry anything heavier than 25 kilograms in Australia. Who knew that?
Also can't be drunk in bars.
Can't be drunk in bars. Certainly not beyond 11 o'clock at night, apparently.
Oh my
So
word.
all the fun's been taken out of it. All the fun. This is why I say they are a nanny state on steroids. But not the good steroids, just the ones that shrink your balls. Nothing else. Aussies may be boring except tradies, says Congo Chris. Those oaks eat cornflakes with whiskey instead of milk and meth instead of sugar. Yeah, but they're very few. Those are called bogans, and there are very few of those left too.
Yeah, but they're also in those sort of really far out places where they go make money. They make huge money, these people, and then they come into towns for like 2-3 days to do whatever.
Yeah.
And then people point and stare at them.
Right. Because they've never seen them before.
Yeah.
Wow. MM says, just like Simpy, where I have champagne taste and beer money. That's a good way of putting it. I like that. That's good. Okay. Very nice. Crocodile Dundee used to have some daring. Yeah, absolutely. Who was the X-Files guy? Hugh Jackman. He was a cool Australian.
Was he X-Files?
No, he didn't do X-Files.
That was David Duchovny.
Yeah, he was an Australian. You're confused, Zinhle. That's not good. Zinhle, who's still calling himself Zinhle Fuckbus.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We know your real life.
yeah. It's weird how he didn't bring it up, like you said last week, but now he's named himself.
He's named himself that. So yeah, he
Interesting.
keeps on bringing up the filth, and then he owns it though, which is to his credit. Okay, so I just think bad idea to put a tax on luxury things like that, because what you're trying to do is just trying to stifle people from spending. And why should government get a share of anything, especially if you're buying luxury things? They don't deserve a piece of that pie.
Definitely,
it's not like they're going to hand it out to people who don't have a luxury car. They just keep it for themselves and spend it on nonsense, especially in this country.
Like Rolex.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Most of our money that people spend on luxury goods does go out of the country because we don't manufacture any of those things. So when people buy from Louis Vuitton and Gucci and all these other designer labels, it goes straight to France or Switzerland or wherever else those holding companies are based. It doesn't stay here.
Yeah.
Same with the cars.
Same with the cars. All right, so Simpiwe is going to tell us some bad news in just a while, but at 7 o'clock, we're going to take a quick break. She's going to tell us about the 7 things that you will not be able to afford in the next 5 years. So in case you thought this was going to be the easiest ride on a Friday, I told you there's some crazy involved. We're going to have to find out about 7 things that you won't be able to afford in the next 5 years. So you might as well either start planning now, enjoying them while you still can, or saving up like stupid amounts of money. All right, that's coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
This week on the Auto Trader podcast.
But then you can see the inklings of Cherry's design over there. The slim headlights, massive grille, and then just imposing stance, as we can see. And this is the hybrid version that's going to be coming to South. It's earmarked for here, along with the Tiggo 9. So this hybrid also, 1.5 litre turbocharged. And this one this is actually going to be one of the most powerful Chinese cars that's coming out at the moment. So we are looking at the likes of, I believe, 400 odd kilowatts and 900 Newton meters in an SUV like that.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
Good morning, everybody. Friday morning, and we are live right now. The Real Network, the Gareth Cliff Show, and Ben and Simpiwe and you. And we're going to be joined by a guest in a short while too. So stick around. There's lots of good stuff heading your way. I love that story about that kid this morning. In case you missed it in the first hour, he's under 2 years old. He's a toddler, and he is already Ghana's youngest male artist and the world's youngest male artist. Bloody cool. He's painting. He's painting things. And what are your kids doing? What are your 2-year-olds doing? Drooling and filling their nappies.
I've missed all of that. What does he paint? What is he doing though?
He painted beautiful paintings.
Like
Have you still
what?
got those pictures, show Ben? Look at that.
He's an artist.
And those are good. I'm telling you, though, that one on the right, I think is spectacular.
And he's 2.
You know, there are adult modern artists, in inverted commas, who couldn't produce something that good. That's good. I'd buy that.
It's a child on a canvas making colors.
It's phenomenal. But look how good it is.
I'm not doubting that he's creating something quite cool, but
yeah. No, he really is. It's very good.
Artist?
Yes.
Yes, he's an artist.
He's in the Guinness
Please.
Book of
Do you know
Records.
there's a woman who just did she was spitting at people
Oh my gosh.
as a like performance artist thing in some London museum, and people were paying for the privilege of being spat on by an adult, obviously mentally deranged woman. And she calls herself an artist. So yes, this kid can call himself an artist.
Okay.
This is
Absolutely.
wholesome art, at least, and not somebody being rude and spitting at the faces of other
Yeah,
people.
and look at him. He's enjoying it.
But does someone sort of keep the kid in the lines so as he's scooting the paint
No,
up, do they stop
so-
him so that it's square?
So he has to be able to look. He probably goes over the edges of the painting, which is
Yeah,
how they
like-
keep it like really the canvas is full.
Yeah.
But he's not allowed any help as part of the thing. I can't believe we're talking about this again. But all right, I brought it up.
Because he seems like he's
So-
not impressed, Ben.
One of the conditions that the
I
Guinness
want to be, but then I feel like I'm being false if I'm.
Ben, you know, you got to give kids a little bit of a chance here. So apparently what they have to do is they have to prove that he has to have an exhibition, he has to be able to sell the art, and he has to be able to do the work on his own. And so they recorded him doing the work on his own. So there's proof that this kid actually managed to do the work. He's not being helped. That's impressive.
So did he wake
Under
up?
2 years old.
Did he wake up and go, I'm looking for the complex array of these colors? And
No,
then he
his mother
chooses-
saw
chooses
he was
the colours.
talented.
Come
Listen,
on.
do you really think most of these modern artists do any of that? They
Gareth,
throw.
This kid is now a celebrity. He will be scrutinized like all those celebrities. There's no free rides here on this show.
Yeah, but you have to look at his age. He's 2. Right now, you
2.
can't
even
scrutinize
talk.
anything because he's 2. He's a baby
Oh, he
doing
wants to-
amazing
Ben
things.
wants him solving
who's-
physics equations.
Who is paying bills? Let me tell you, he's doing
imagine
better
if Ben
than.
had a
He's
kid.
paying
Imagine how
bills.
that kid
That-
would have to start playing, championship level football at age 3. Otherwise,
No, of
Ben
course
would
And
not.
he's still
take
not
it
going
to
to
the.
be. He's
Ben
not
would
gonna
take
be
it to the
impressed.
orphanage and trade it in for a new one.
Of course not. I would be great with that. That kid would be loved and live a good life and play golf. Mess around
Yeah,
with
sure.
football.
Play golf being the key thing. If
Yeah.
it wasn't able to wield the golf club by age 4,
It'd
straight
be
back to the orphanage.
Awkward, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be awkward.
You trade it in. Exactly. All right. So tell us, Simpiwe, what are the things that we not. This is depressing, but you know what? Simpiwe woke up this morning without electricity, and she's just preparing the rest of us for what's going to happen when our electricity ends after the election. So you may as well get used to other things that you won't be able to afford.
Yeah, so the disclaimer is this is for the middle class. If you're not in the middle class, this does not
so if
apply to you.
If you're already poor, then
You weren't having these things.
don't worry. You didn't have this anyway, so it's not going to get any better. Okay,
Yeah,
all right, let's
and
go.
if you part of the top 1%, your life is just going to get
Amazing.
better, you know? So this is for the middle class, and it's an article that I read where here are some of the things you might not be able to afford in the next 5 years.
Food, transport.
So number 1 is extended family trips.
Yes,
so bye-bye to
Because
that.
the stupid governments of the world keep putting carbon taxes on everything, so that they actually want to stop you from traveling.
Yeah, which is a problem. Number 2 is new cars. I don't know if you've seen how expensive cars are right now.
Yeah.
And even used cars
Yeah.
are just as expensive. So I think we're all screwed there. Number 3, private school tuition.
Yeah, but that's overrated anyway. Your kids don't need an education.
Yeah.
Like Ben
Wow.
says, just teach them
Wow.
golf.
Wow. Why
Yeah.
you said like they want the accent?
They
Wow.
want the public school
Wow.
acts. Do you think that still helps?
I don't know. I never went to a private school, but
No,
I just know that joke. Wow. Wow.
right.
So
I'm not jealous of people who went to private schools, really.
No,
I
not in
went-
the slightest. I think they've become too soft now because those private schools have become businesses.
Yeah, and
No one
also
fights there.
some of them are so woke, and
Yeah.
the parents are, and it's,
Well, they have to be.
it's ridiculous.
It's part of the brand.
No, I'm glad I had a school full of like really rough people.
yeah.
There were
I didn't
fights.
see any 85%ers in my school.
No,
Been through
Ben,
that.
Ben didn't
Okay,
even know.
that's also weird.
I didn't even know that was a rule.
You're not used to
Ben
excellence.
didn't know you could get 85%. He thought they immediately put a handicap on you when you get past 60.
Kids were getting wedged at 70%. You think they're going to get the extra 15? It's madness.
All right,
Well,
so
welcome to the world of excellence now.
no
okay?
new cars, no trips, and no private schools.
Yes.
Sure.
Home ownership is also going
Oh.
to be.
So where the fuck do they want us to live?
Who wrote this? Charles Schwab.
By the way, Carl Schwab of the World Economic Forum says he's going to retire at the end of this year.
From what?
Ooh.
Being an absolute prick.
Yeah, he's going to retire from being a vampire and a destructive force for humanity.
An
Who knows?
unelected authority of nothingness.
I know.
Great.
I wonder who's going to take over
Piss
from
off.
him. Jacinda Ardern?
Oh,
Yes.
no.
Probably. She's toothy enough.
Okay. Well, on to the next one.
Mm.
But I don't think people should worry about this one too much with the whole NHI.
Yeah.
Healthcare costs.
Oh, yeah, don't worry about it
Yeah.
because now you'll have to pay a backstreet doctor to help you with all your stuff. That's what you're going to have to do, hey? Because this NHI is a colossal disaster. You're going to have to pay somebody to come around to your house late at night and operate on you in the insanitary conditions of your kitchen.
I mean, what's life, guys? Like, if you
It's
really want to
exciting.
live,
It's exciting. You know what? Humanity peaked in the early 1900s. We peaked, and now we're on the decline. It's like every species goes into decline. This is our time. Eventually, some other great ape will take over from us.
Well, I think when Friends finishes a series, humanity went. That was the peak of.
You think that was the best?
that was the peak of humanity?
Okay.
That was the best time being human. Since then,
All right.
waning.
I think we started to go downhill after the two major world wars.
No, I mean,
I
the
think that-
80s were amazing.
Yeah, well, we didn't live in the age of the Titanic, Ben.
Good.
where there was lies.
By
and
the
she
way,
would've let you die.
have you seen that graph of like deaths on the Titanic? All 1912 and then nothing. really good graph. Just I love bringing the information that people need on this show. Sorry, it's just very important. All right, carry on, Simpiwe, as you were.
The last two items is travel in your retirement and actually being able to save for retirement. So those are the yeah.
This is depressing. I don't know why you brought this in this morning. I'm very, very.
Why?
Usually you bring in some nonsense survey that you pulled off of like BuzzFeed or something, but this is depressing.
Why can't you save for your retirement?
Because
They'll
inflation.
find a way to
but
take
it's
it from you.
inflation.
Everything else is too expensive.
Yeah.
They'll
Yes.
find a way to
Yeah.
take it from you,
So
Ben.
people are not saving now for the future, and by the time they get to retirement,
Because they're too
they
busy
don't have
trying to
enough.
live.
yes,
Right.
yeah. So
Okay.
that's the reality, guys. So I mean, this is a very important reminder, vote, and just do
Hey,
that.
I watched the most amazing thing yesterday. I watched a clip of. I love Bill Maher. I think he's great. He was on with Megyn Kelly. I might have mentioned this on Wednesday because I think I saw it just before then. But Bill Maher was on with Megyn Kelly, and she's so smart. Hey, I mean, she practiced law for a number of years before she became a media person, and she knows her stuff. She's got unbelievable recall too. She's got one of those eidetic. I think it's called an eidetic memory.
Well, you can't forget anything, or
yeah,
just okay.
yeah,
Is that
and
better than a photographic memory?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure because I don't have it. So if I had an
I tried
eidetic
to
memory,
explain it.
I've never heard of this. This is from the
So
smart
anyway,
people things again.
yeah, it's a smart. This is what you get if you've got over 85% at school. Then, so Megyn Kelly sitting with Bill Maher, he's a smart guy. He's someone said something very unkind in the comments on the video I watched and said like, "Oh, Bill's the kind of guy that dumb people think smart looks like," which is, I don't think that's fair. I think he's carved out a pretty good career for himself, being fairly sane about most things. But sure, she took him down. I mean, it's worth watching just because, America's also in an election year.
But she took him down without wanting to take him down. That's how bad he was.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's just, he is so in, this also happens, like people are in a bubble. They're in their own silo. They don't think things outside of that silo exist, and they start believing a completely false set of facts. This whole thing of like my facts versus your facts as opposed to the facts.
Yeah.
And when they're confronted with actual facts, like Megyn Kelly, the example that was so glaring is she said to him, Hillary Clinton, just as much as Trump is an election denier, Hillary Clinton is an election denier. And Bill Maher was like, no, she isn't. She never said that. And Megyn Kelly was like, no, she said exactly these words, and then played the clip. And Bill's like, oh, well.
Well, he said, well, you got your story.
Yeah. What a thing to say.
No, that's not your story. It's just called the truth.
Whew. Smoking.
Didn't Crooked Hillary write a book, How I Didn't Win?
What happened is what it was called.
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't you love it when people pull out receipts?
Yeah.
Like, they're so calm with it. They let you say everything.
It's like those people who, when you're having an argument about what happened in business, and then someone brings up a chain of emails, and they're like, actually, here's what happened. And you're like, whoa, all right.
Yeah.
Suppose I was wrong.
Yeah.
That's
love it.
It's either you need that skill of keeping records of everything, or that very, very good memory, which eidetic memory.
I'm so glad I remember that.
I'm going to look that up now because you're making me nervous that I don't know what I'm talking about.
I just thought a photographic memory was good enough.
Okay.
Yeah, to some extent.
Yeah, eidetic memory. Here we are. It is the ability to recall an image from memory with high precision for at least a brief period of time after seeing it only once and without using a mnemonic device.
That's amazing.
So if you can, like a lot of people who find it very easy to read, to scan instead of read, that they literally just they look at a page for a second and they gather all the useful information from it in a moment.
And that's a skill in itself.
It's incredible. There are people like that. So here's the good question that you will hopefully will solve your question, Ben. The answer to this: people with eidetic memory can continue to see the image in their mind's eye even after the actual image has disappeared. People with a photographic memory may not always see the image, but they can recall its visual details with great accuracy.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
That's the difference between the two.
Okay.
And this is an interesting thing too, there is no relationship between eidetic memory and a high IQ. So someone who has the ability to recall an image in fairly good detail doesn't necessarily also have a high IQ. IQ is kind of pattern recognition more than anything else. But it is a great indicator of intelligence.
I get why they say that, but like, if you had that and they say you go study law, where it's a lot about remembering stuff.
Yeah.
So in the moment you could pass and get a degree, and then like when you're actually at the court case, would you be able to present the case accordingly? Or
you are just describing the show Suits here, aren't you?
Yeah, because that was the whole premise for the younger guy. And he basically had a great ability to remember stuff, and then went into the trial. And went to the exam, or didn't even write the exam, just got the job.
Yeah.
Right? Bullshitted his way in. No, that Suits.
Okay.
Jesus, look at us trying to figure out the plots of shows that ended 12 years ago when people weren't princesses. Right?
That was a great show.
That was a good show.
Yeah, it was a bit wishy-washy.
Did you think so?
Yeah.
Listen, is there anything good at the moment? Because since The Gentleman, I'm struggling.
No, and there was somebody who DM'd me to say you should talk about the ultimatum essay. No, we're not talking
What
reality.
is that?
Yeah, what is that?
It's a reality.
I know it's on Netflix, but I don't know anything past that.
It's a reality franchise that has now come to South Africa.
Yeah.
And I think you guys will be proud of me. I have now forsaken my love for reality TV. So I've not watched.
Oh, good. Well, I'm proud of you, but I'm also just thrilled that you have all this free time now. No, Sipiwa's going to have free time. She's going to have time on her hands. This is very good.
I'm still going to watch like series and whatnot.
She's going to bring us depressing lists of what we can't afford on a Friday.
This is what happens when I grow up, guys. But so the last straw was watching Love is Blind season 6.
Oh,
and
season 6.
And how it ended, I was just like, yeah, I'm done knowing too much about people's business and their relationships. And it got me high and low and people breaking up and not making up. I was like, I'm done.
Sounds like real life when you have friends.
So I was like, I'm done with reality TV. And now the ultimatum essay has come, and someone was like, you need to talk about it. No, I'm not going to watch it. I'm not doing that to myself. I've done away with reality TV.
This is a sad moment. Let's just let's all mourn the death of reality TV in the Mtetwa household, because this is the end of it. I mean, they've lost a major supporter in you.
Yeah, they have.
How are you going to fill that void? What are you going to fill it with?
So I've always liked watching series and movies, so I'm just going to continue doing that. I mean, Bridgerton season 3 is out.
I see lots of people who are very excited about that.
I'm like, this weekend we are binge watching season 3. Like, yes, like I want to fall in love and just get lost in that. Grey's Anatomy's new season is out. Definitely going to start like binge watching that.
That's still going.
Yes, it is. I think they're at season 20.
Jesus.
It's still going. So things like that. I know, right?
Wow.
I've heard some things on this show, but that might be the most horrifying thing I've heard. How is that show?
Look, it's amazing. And they still have an audience.
Still the same characters as washed up nurses? And
some, but the premise is still the same. Horny doctors in
someone
a
told
hospital.
me that.
And it was like those lame nicknames like McSteamer. Or
McDreamy and McSteamy.
Yeah. It's
still a thing.
They've not
they
changed.
must be 100 years old by now. They were McDreamy and McSteamy in the 90s, right?
Yeah, some of them have died. You know, they've gotten rid of them. You know,
that's horrific.
Yeah, like that's me now.
Well, JP's just reminded us his name was Mike Ross in the show. That suits. And then Congo Chris says, and I think I agree with this completely, Congo Chris, Boston Legal was the superior lawyer show. Suits can suck it. Well, speaking of people, like William Shatner is still alive. He's still completely cogent. He's in his 90s.
Oh.
Like, how can William Shatner be as good as he is in his 90s? And there are people in their 60s who are like falling to pieces.
Because he wants to be.
It's amazing, right? I mean, that really is spectacular. Go look at, like, you could find an appearance he's made on a TV show recently, and you look at the guy and you're like, 90-something? Phenomenal. Like, some people really just have it.
He's just still enjoying himself.
He's having such fun. Yeah.
Like, old people get old, I think, because they just don't enjoy themselves anymore. They become so caught up in all the other shit around them that they just die slower. But, I mean, William Shatner, the memories that guy, he must have jawed hard in the 80s. He must have had some stories.
I think he did some very cool things.
So why would you want to die if you William Shatner?
He's got a life to. He's got a lot of stories to tell. I would love to sit with William Shatner for an hour. I reckon your mind would be blown. The things that guy got up to.
Yeah, Boston Legal was good. Suits was like the sort of simpy male version of that. That's what it came back to, because that was a time where men were being simpy, and then
they were on the decline. Yeah. Again, you know, the strong men make good times create weak men create bad times create strong men thing.
Yeah.
That's what's happening there. By the way, Bridgerton, Sam Griffin says, Bridgerton is a load of crack with a subplot stolen from Gossip Girl. Now, I refuse to watch Bridgerton, not because I don't think it's brilliant, and I hear it's beautifully made, and it's Shonda Rhimes.
Yes, it is.
Apparently very, very good show. But I can't watch it because it's not historically accurate, or even it doesn't even pretend it to be historically accurate. Like it really is just a soap opera played out in the Regency period, which is awesome. Or in fact, the Georgian period, time of George III and Queen Charlotte, right?
Yes.
So I believe it's very well put together, but I know I'd get really annoyed watching it because I'd immediately pick up on the fact that this is not anywhere near what history was. So, but that's a great time. I mean, the outfits, the houses, and
they were so regal. And she's done a splendid job of like making us fall in love with language again. Just how even the guys talk to to each other, but even the partners that they're pursuing, and it's not just like a random guy. Yes, but he doesn't come up to you and is like, "I like you." You know, they don't.
There was people would court. Now courting has gone out. It doesn't happen anymore.
And then there's like this air of mystery, and then they have to go to the ball, and you kind of like, ooh, what's going to happen?
Listen.
So it's a full-on drama. I understand why you wouldn't watch it, but I love it.
Will you eventually graduate to Downton Abbey?
I don't know.
This is it.
It'll
This is
eventually
the
happen.
path.
As she gets older, it will.
This is the path.
I don't know.
I had
for
such
it.
an interesting conversation with Siv and Gessie about like relationships in the year 2024 and kind of hookup culture and everything. It's from Monday's show if you want to go and listen to it if you haven't already. And it's tough out there, man. I saw a video of a girl, American girl. Literally, she was crying, filming herself crying, which is not a great idea. Don't ever do that because then it'll encourage you to do that every time you have any kind of emotional outburst. And actually, people might have been interested the first time, but by the third, they don't. And you're just looking for trouble. Anyway, I felt sorry for her because she was saying she's attractive, successful. She's got a nice life. She's got a dog. She says she just wants love, this woman. She's like, I just want love and I can't find love anywhere. And I think the wrong place to be looking is probably online.
Yes.
That's a good start.
Well, may I start by
I
asking?
felt sorry for her.
May I start by asking? Does she love herself?
No, and that is exactly the problem. It's like she hasn't figured out what she wants.
And you
So
gathered that in like a 60 seconds.
yeah.
video.
Oh, you can tell
No,
straight
look,
away.
If you can't
It's-
love yourself, no one's going to love
And
you.
you know,
it's quite simple.
if you watch a video of anybody on the internet and there's more me's and I's being said than any other words, you kind of know that the problem is them. They're admitting it without knowing it. Just
Well,
count the me's and I's.
There's a very obvious thing. Look around. The caliber of people isn't what it used to be.
No,
Okay.
men
So, yeah,
and
I get
women,
that.
very bad quality.
It's
Yeah.
all declined.
Gareth, see what you can do to get Simpiwe onto a season of The Bachelor SA. Would you do it? Would you do it?
I think I would. The Bachelor is tasteful. It's a very out of all the reality TV shows, that I think is the most tasteful. You get to go on multiple dates, and they all know that you're going on these dates.
But all
with
those other
different
bitches,
guys.
Simpiwe, wouldn't you want to scratch?
No. I'd
wouldn't you
want
want to
be
scratch
the
their eyes
Bachelorette.
out?
So, I mean, there's the Bachelorette, so I'd want to be the main. I'm not trying to compete.
Yeah, she doesn't want to be in the rebel here.
You're
No,
not,
no,
you're
no,
not
no,
a
no,
cameo.
no.
You're the steering.
Main
Yes,
event.
because
Yeah,
it gets
okay.
ghetto when you are the one who's like
Yeah.
fighting for the person's attention, and I'm not that. I want them to fight for
You
my
can see
attention.
Simpiwe coming to that rose ceremony with a baseball bat and just slugging all the other chicks out of the way.
You know, so I think out of all, I've thought about it, like which reality TV show I'd ever do in my life. I think that's the most
The
tasteful.
Bachelorette.
Most
This
tasteful.
is a very good question.
Because it like you don't, and the thing is, there's still a lot of room for you to have decorum, and a lot of these reality shows, it's just debauchery. That's
Yeah,
the reality
right.
of it.
I mean, Naked Goose mentions MILF Island. Did you know about MILF Island?
No.
Old ladies and pool boys.
like,
Yeah, there's an actual.
Who's
I don't
executive
know.
producer? Madonna.
No, that's Gilf Island. Madonna's on Gilf
But
Island.
it's a very good question. Like, if you were to go on any reality TV show
Yeah.
and just assume that you wouldn't get prodded by the producer to go do this and say this, what would it be? So you would say that. What would you want to go on to?
Well, I was on one as a judge at
Well,
a singing show.
I mean, sure, but that
So
was
that's
more
not
a talent
exciting for me.
contest.
I mean, I've been there, done that, Ben. I don't really have anything else to say about.
Yeah, but that was
reality
more a
TV.
talent contest where you needed, like,
And they asked me. I didn't ask them.
I put it this way: you were never going to win Idols because
No.
So when I mean like reality
No.
show, as
Oh, would I want to be as a contestant?
Yeah.
Oh God. Deal or no deal?
oh yes.
Because just as a
That's a game
contestant, you
show.
just win. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like none of them appealed to me really.
That's good.
There are these. There are these survival ones, but I'm not so sure
Like
I could do
Survivor?
it. No. The ones where they just drop you in the middle of like nowhere and you have to
Amazing Race.
survive. No.
Oh.
I can't remember what it's called. but-
naked and afraid.
no, I wouldn't want to do that. No, I definitely wouldn't want to do that. What are my options? Because none of these appeal to me. I wouldn't want to be on TV.
Give us the options here because you're the one that's just.
Okay.
Obviously gone through this
You're
most
probably
recently.
gonna say no to all of them.
Would you want to be the Bachelor? Got to go with no.
Clearly,
Would you want to do that?
it's a hell
Not a
no.
chance. No, I wouldn't do. No, not for $1 million because the anguish that the guy who is the Bachelor has to put these girls through. I've watched 5 minutes of an episode and I'm like, I don't know who would put themselves through this. It's horrible.
Yeah, and then you're known as the Bachelor
Horrible.
after that.
And then none of these girls like you by the end of it. They might have, maybe one or two of them might have ended up being your friend, but you've like told them to fuck off in episode 4 and they'll never want to see you again.
Okay.
So no, I would hate that. Plus,
So normal life then.
So wait, there's quite a few different love shows. So you'd not do any like
No, I
looking
wouldn't
for
want,
love,
no,
or
because you're not going to get any tears out of me.
Love
You're
on
not
the
going to get
spectrum.
any love on the spectrum. Maybe that's probably the only one I could do.
So no Love is Blind for you.
I'd be very bad quality as a contestant because I wouldn't deliver what the producers want. You know, they want crying and they want emotion and they want love and they want hugs and they want kisses. And they want, and I'm not going to do any of that stuff because it just doesn't motivate me.
Okay. So. Would you do? I know it was short lived, but I think it was one of the best shows as well. The Real Husbands of Hollywood.
Hell no. Those are even worse.
Gosh.
You talk about like the scandalous behavior of women on The Bachelor, but those women are even worse. I mean, look at all the memes that have come out of those Real Housewives shows. Ben's favorite one of the cat. I mean, all those memes that have come out of those shows, just the most terrible, low-class people.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Okay, there's
I'm not
not
going to
much more.
Just leave me out. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, there's not much more after that.
If you don't have to be part of a team, I would like to do Survivor.
Okay.
You would?
Yeah. I don't want to have to team up with people to help weak people. If it was Survivor individuals, I'm in.
But isn't that also like the point of it? You part of the team, but you win the money at the end of the day. So you need to plot and scheme and be actually the guy.
Sorry, a correction. It's not called MILF Island. It's called MILF Manor.
Ooh, even worse.
So much classier.
Even
MILF Manor,
worse.
where the pool boy meets the MILF. I mean, that's a good show. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? 8 out of 10 Cats. That's a good show, but it's not really a reality
you know what show
show.
I think you would do?
What is 8 out of 10 Cats?
It's that show with all those British comedians and they just basically talk shit about each other and bring up interesting facts. It's almost like QI.
Yeah,
I think the one you should, but it's gone now. The Weakest Link. I think that would be
these are game shows. These aren't reality TV.
But still like...
I did I was a contestant on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and The Weakest Link for charity. So it's not interesting. I've done these things before. It's really...
Did you win the million?
No, I didn't.
That's how you do it.
Which is also, you know what I'm like. If I don't win, I don't play anymore. So I just left.
What did you get wrong?
I can't remember. Ben, it's 10 years ago, more.
Of course you can, because you're still bitter about it.
Who was our person?
Jeremy Maggs.
No, he did Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but who was our Weakest Link person?
Oh.
I don't know, but I think she's dead. So I win.
Wasn't it Isabel Jones? No, it was.
I'm still here, bitch.
No,
you might have won the Weakest Link, but I'm still here.
The Weakest Link essay was that woman who looked like Anne Robinson but just had a massive nose.
Yeah, I don't remember her though. I don't remember her
Fiona,
name.
someone.
Fiona something. Yes.
Oh.
No, I don't think she's
How do
dead.
I know this?
Hang on, let me look her up. This is going to drive me crazy.
Gareth dodged utatako of a child in Northwest. So that's also a reality.
Oh, that's true.
Yes.
Oh, here we go. Fiona Coyne, found dead. Yeah, she's dead. 2010, she was found dead.
Oh,
shit.
hectic. No.
On that note,
that was shortly after I was on the show. Total coincidence.
You're a bit too happy about her death, Gareth. Where were you 10 years ago?
This is a dodgy show this morning, huh?
All right, guys.
What would you be on, Ben? Survivor?
Yeah, I want to go to Survivor. Take me to any sort of strange island, and I want to win.
I'd like to be a cameraman on Below Decks, says Propaganda.
Ooh.
The ultimatum essay is a real shocker, says Marco.
It's horrible.
Try The Biggest Loser, Gareth, as in lose some weight. Yeah, I could do that. That would be fun.
Jeez, what a bird.
And then you're going to come up with
good.
the...
Ben for Naked and Afraid, says Mo Rabbit.
Yeah, I could do Naked and Afraid as well. I would not be afraid.
Would you do Fear Factor?
As long as I'm not eating anyone's semen, yeah.
Oh,
that was basically what Fear Factor came down to.
All right.
Hot girls eating scrotums of animals.
Oh my god.
Okay, thanks.
It's even worse. All right, that's where we're going to call it quits with Ben. Chase him out of the studio, and let's get our guest in here because it is time for us to meet somebody who I saw this stuff on social media not so long ago, making a big noise. This is Dube, who's on TikTok, and you can find him. We'll put up all the details now. Actor, comedian, MC, influencer, voiceover artist. Like everyone in the entertainment business, he has to do everything. You have to.
The only thing missing is DJ.
But you have to do everything in this business. Otherwise, you won't make any imali and you won't be able to live. That's how it works in this.
Can I brag for a second? I've got to see him live.
Oh,
The
you've seen him
roast.
live?
At the roast, yeah.
Very nice.
And he was quite funny, huh?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Oh.
did laugh at one or two of your jokes.
Isn't that
One
ni-
two is enough.
Isn't that nice, dude? When someone says, you're actually quite funny, and you're like, yeah, I know, I've been doing this for a while. It's my job, right?
But
Yes,
you
sir.
also,
Feel good about
but you
that.
also bomb sometimes, so I mean,
Hey,
It's been a while. It's been a while.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
he's a
it's been a while.
professional man,
Yeah.
Simpiwe. Don't upset him on his Friday morning.
Yeah, okay.
You've already upset everyone else in South
Oh,
Africa.
sorry.
You're
Sorry,
already.
ultimatum team.
So you got into some trouble a little while ago, and this is where I first heard about you, because you said something about smelling like a Zimbabwean, and people just emptied their minds and their mouths on you. They did not let you get any quarter on that front. I mean, I don't understand why people were so upset. First of all, you are Zimbabwean, so you're allowed to say whatever you want about Zimbabweans.
Right.
Second of all, who is so sensitive that this became the biggest issue in the world? Like, just remind us of how it all unfolded.
So, look, I will say I kind of understand, right? Because usually there's this thing of saying comedians have a license.
Yeah.
And I think not to insult people, right? And not to make people uncomfortable, to start a discourse, maybe, but, or make someone a butt of a joke, fine. But if it's now an insult, right? Because when people started talking to me about it, so what happened was I was on this podcast that we do called Sensitive. And the whole idea is, hey, man, we rip into whoever, whatever. So they asked, what's your biggest fear? And I said, my biggest fear is, what I wanted to say was, my biggest fear is people saying I smell like, because that's the stereotype.
Okay.
But in the moment, I said, my biggest fear is smelling like. As Zimbabwean.
It's
And
English,
then,
you see.
yay,
Oh.
man. And then they
But
took
still, so what's the big deal? I mean,
So,
first
You
of
should
all,
have ended with it's giving Zimbabwe.
Yeah,
It would
then it would have,
yeah.
man. So that the deal,
Shame,
Garrett,
dude. I'm
is-
sorry. What a stupid thing to be a controversy.
Yeah.
You didn't deserve that.
So yeah, when they got upset, the people that spoke with me said, "Look, we get what you were trying to do, fine, but where you said it is where the problem
Oh,
is."
please. Do these people, are they in the right place for this? I mean, what's the show called?
Sensitive,
Yeah, please.
right,
I think the audience that got upset were maybe on the wrong podcast by mistake.
right, yeah, because
They're
they
meant to
said,
be listening to some like vaginal yoga therapy or something else.
yeah,
is
so
crazy.
that was their thing. They were like, you are saying that to South
All right,
Africans.
so how does a Zimbabwean smell? Just level with us.
They smell okay. I'm a Zimbabwean. I smell.
Simpiwe?
Gareth, how are you doing?
Get a bit closer.
Ah.
The bitchiness. Yo, Simpiwe's on fire this morning.
Oh, she's on fire. I felt a move. Like I felt,
I just that slight
yeah,
like,
that
and then you look away like what's up?
yeah.
So you performed in Zambia, the UK, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Swaziland, and you were the stand-up comedian of the year in 2017. It's not so long ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it is still a very, very tough business in comedy. You're only as good as your last show, and you know, there are no places that are doing this. This is what we were talking to someone about just the other day on the show. There aren't like comedy clubs anymore, which is a
Yeah.
sadness, man.
Yeah.
There was a time where they were all over. In fact, just before COVID, the Goliaths had that place going in Melrose Arch.
Melrose, yeah.
We had a place in Monte Cassino with old
Parkers.
Joe Parker.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many places that just don't exist anymore. So what kind of, are you doing a lot of corporate stuff?
Corporate stuff, and a lot of like what we're surviving on now is pop-up clubs. Like
right.
someone goes and asks for a venue and whatever, but then that means we're all competing for the same spot now.
Let me ask you about the corporate ones for a second.
Right.
Because I was talking to a bunch of people who control budgets, marketing budgets in these corporations. And I said to all of them, you've got to be a bit braver, because there's so much marketing out there that's just watery and uninteresting now. And the same goes with comedy. Like, they want a comedian because they know that, and South Africans have a great sense of humor. And most of us are not sensitive. We're not the kind of people who get upset about things like who smells like what. But it strikes me that corporations will say, oh, we want this guy. But then they'll say to the guy in the brief beforehand, it's like, just avoid this and avoid that and avoid that. And eventually you're like left with, hey, you ever been on the plane and there was someone in the seat next to you who took up more space than they should have? And then someone will go, oh, no, but you can't do that. That's fat phobic.
Right,
You know,
right.
Everything eventually becomes out of bounds.
Yeah. And what you find is it's not the corporation, it's the booking person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the booking person. One of the best corporates I ever did was that. Like, I got that brief and everything went well, but they were coming from a golf day. So now it was the award ceremony thing that was meant to MC. And then the CEO is there and is like, yo, you're going to fucking make us laugh today. I said, sorry, sir. What did you say?
So were you allowed to go there?
Oh, I said, sir, can I? He said, yeah, man, that's what we booked you for. Let's have a
Awesome.
shot. We had a shot and then got on.
And did you talk to the booking person afterwards and say to them, calm the fuck down?
Yes, when I started.
Good.
I think halfway through I dropped an F-bomb. Then I looked at her and she's
Nice.
panicking on the side. But everybody is gone. They're laughing. And I was like, ha ha ha. So that's, you get those.
Well, I'm also excited by the fact that there are lots of people who just like now that politics is the election's happening, and once that's over, then we'll know what we're in for the next 5 years, and we can all stop being so nervous about this stuff. Because really, a lot of comedy is coming from the politicians at the moment.
Oh yeah, true.
They actually, I mean, that ad that Musi Maimane put out this week, where he goes, Sugasero.
Right.
I thought that was fun. That was fun, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was good. We are a country that likes to laugh. We're a continent that likes to laugh. People laugh. No matter how hard their life is, they get laughs in. It's good. We need this. It's like therapy for us.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. So Mapelo says your joke was upsetting. I think the smell one still, he's on it, because it had an element of truth. Okay, so Mapelo's going for the jugular. Very good. And I just think maybe South Africa is ready for us to become rude to each other again. Like, I like a little bit of rudeness. You see it online, but people need to be able to pull that off and then laugh afterwards in real life. There's nothing worse than like you say something to someone and then they go, instead of haha, haha is always better.
Right. Our first point of call is always to be upset.
Yeah, well, it's become that way because I think it gets rewarded online, but in real life, it doesn't get rewarded. No one wants to sit around a miserable person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, true.
What do you do when you're looking for material? Where do you go? What do you see? Is it just day to day? Is it things that happen in your life, or do you?
I think it's day to day for me, man. Like there's too much happening around to want to try and do theatrics and gymnastics with trying to prove I'm the smartest to get to a punchline. It happens every day.
Do you watch other comics and get some inspiration there sometimes?
No, because funny has kind of gone down now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think funny has gone down now.
Oh, like my God. Are you trying to resuscitate it? Because we need all the help we can get.
I mean, yeah, there's a few guys that I'm like, okay, all right, you got the thing. Other than that, it's like,
Want to name them?
Guys that got it?
Yeah.
I think Mojak Lihoko, I think, is a very funny dude.
Cool.
Sfiso Nene is extremely funny. Celeste is funny. Robbie
She's
Collins.
been great for a long time.
Robbie, man.
Robbie's good.
Robbie's good. Those are guys I would leave my house to go watch.
But they've also been in the industry for quite some time. All of the guys you just named.
Yeah.
But it takes, I mean, this is the great thing, right? Experience, because the more you do, the better you get.
Right.
And as I understand, I'm not a comic, but as I understand it, it's like doing being an athlete. The more you train and the more you're doing your thing, running or jumping or whatever it is, the better you get at it.
The better you get at it. Yeah, that's true.
You learn to deal with crowds in all kinds of different situations. Are there any crowds that you get nervous about, like age group wise, race wise, whether they're rich or poor? Is there any nervous kind of situation you find yourself in because you think,
No, not anymore. You find that, I mean, we're all the same. And now with social media, we're all consuming the same stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? So you go with, I did like a show in Tembisa the other day and super fire. But now I was on a lineup with Venek speaking comics only. I'm from Zim, so I can speak Zulu, but you can tell my Zulu is not here. Yeah, my Zulu is man. So I was like, hey, Kunjan. Yeah. No, that we're fine. We're fine.
I think we can all get those first little bits right. It's after that it breaks down.
Yeah, when we get to KZN asking for directions, then then you can tell, man, something here is very Mukabe here. So yeah, but then I jumped on and I was like, I'm gonna do my English because that's me. And one of the best shows. So they're not a lot of shows where you're like, I don't know how I'm gonna fare here.
Zimbabwe is a great source of material though.
Yeah.
I mean, like obviously there are all those so poor jokes that are coming out of Zimbabwe, but
Right.
things are not just about that.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
actually, like Zimbabweans, the ones I know and see regularly are some of the funniest people because, again, they've seen it all, right?
Right.
So they got nothing to hide anymore. They're like, everything's funny. Yes, our country's a disaster, but we're like optimistic, happy people.
Exactly. Funny enough that you say that. That joke came from a Zimbabwean, a friend of mine.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, he said it to me, and I was like, I'm gonna use that. And then, yeah, it didn't go down well when it got back to Zim.
Okay.
But yeah, it's
Are people back home sensitive about that? If you make fun of Zimbabwe,
when it depends who you're making fun of it to. Because to them, they were saying you're making fun of us to people who don't like us already.
oh,
So you're feeding into that. They don't. Yeah, that was their whole.
they ever chased you down the
argument.
street with pitchforks and
Pitch-
things?
no,
for
no,
what you
not
said
yet.
in
No.
South Africa?
Not yet. So yeah, but hence why I was saying, oh, okay, then I understand what you're saying. So they were saying, if you said it anywhere else, that's funny, but to people that don't like us,
Okay,
you're
so
feeding in.
level with us here in South Africa,
Mm.
because we have been told that we are very xenophobic,
Mm.
and South Africans are full of shit, and that we don't treat people from the rest of the continent well. We think we're better than everybody else on the continent. I don't believe any of that crap, because as far as I can tell, it's not as bad as it was maybe 10 years ago or whatever. But what can South Africans do better? Give us some honest truth here. Like, lecture us a little bit, because we deserve it.
I think understanding, right? Understanding
Yeah.
that decisions are made in offices that we can't access. So I always tell people that there used to be a visa requirement for Zimbabweans to come here. That was great. We found out in the papers, just like, hey, no more visas to go to SA. And we're, so these are decisions that were made in offices
And nobody
that
tells anybody.
nobody tells it. We're not there. And then we're left to fight, right? Each other, where whoever made that decision in that meeting know why they did that. Someone somewhere is benefiting up there, right? And then we are now left to fight on our own. And that's where it becomes sad. You know what I mean? And for me,
do you ever worry because, if you don't have, I mean, it's hard enough for a South African because we don't know with our own police whether we're in the right or the wrong. But do you ever worry, and do you maybe have friends who are also from Zim or other parts of this continent that come here and they're nervous to even report things to the police when things happen to them because it'll turn into a them thing rather than the crime?
I've never had that experience, actually.
Thank God.
Yeah, I've never
I'm very
had that
happy you haven't.
experience. No.
Because our police are sons of bitches, I can say it.
Really?
They're the worst, man. Bribes, corruption.
But that's everywhere.
No. Ours especially bad. And I know for a fact that there are people who I'm close to who have had our police say to them, oh, you're not from here, so you better pay up. And then they extract bribes from them. Yeah, it's happened. That's why I brought it up. I'm not trying to depress you like Simpiwe does.
Well,
Simpiwe depressed us with like 7 things we're not going to be able to afford in the next
It's like
5
the
years.
necessities
I'm
of
not
life.
forgetting that. I'm not forgetting that
That's
this morning.
okay, guys.
So-
Like, you can give up on life now. It's okay. Have a baby when they 2, let them paint. They'll make money.
Well, I mean, that's
the
definitely
plan.
one thing you could do. There's this Ghanaian kid. I'm not going to repeat the whole story again. There's this Ghanaian kid who, under 2 years old, is already selling paintings. He's like the world's youngest artist.
ooh.
It's phenomenal.
Oh, that's lovely. You
Put
give me
them
an
to
idea.
work.
I've got a kid coming in September.
Oh,
Yeah.
are you sure it's yours?
That's what we're going to find out. We are going to find out firstly, and then once we get past that.
How does that work when you have to find out? Because I'm asking for a friend, obviously. If someone says you've got a kid, what's the process? Does anybody know for sure? Simpiwe, do you know?
As in process of finding out?
Yeah, like what do? Do you have to go for tests and then they do DNA tests?
Yeah.
Holy
DNA.
shit.
And say, all right.
How accurate do you think it is?
Accurate enough to put me at ease. You know what I mean? Yeah. Do a DNA test. I think it's like
Whether it is or it isn't.
it
right?
not Yeah. 1.5. You get to
A
know.
lot of money.
Is that how
a
much
lot
it
of
is?
money.
1,500.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what.
See
Sounds
that?
like you've done this before.
Now that is.
Wait,
No,
let's not talk about things.
don't,
We're being specific here.
don't
You just said it so confidently.
No,
like,
because I researched.
Oh.
don't
you're getting
besmirch the man's
prepared.
reputation.
Oh,
I think that's
okay.
interesting information. I've always wondered, and now I know. So, guys, if you have 1,500 rand, and you're not sure whether it's your child, now you know. Right? You even got the price. That's why this show is useful to people.
Right. A friend's neighbor found out during COVID.
Oof.
When he looked at his boy, and I think the boy was playing, and he was like, "No, man, something here. This kid is not mine."
Imagine that. Imagine raising a kid and then finding out at like age 5
there's
that
a
this
whole
is
show
not
called
yours.
Utatako.
Yeah,
Where that happens,
I know.
where they find out when the kid is like 20 and whatnot, and it's so sad. It's also like, hey, how moms back in the day. Whew.
Yeah, right. Because we all think it's only the guys, because obviously men have earned a reputation, and it's not a good one in that respect. But there are lots of women who also,
Yeah, and it's so sad to see that like image of someone just kind of get thrown away in that moment, because all your life you've only known them with this man, and you can't picture a life with them like being young and doing
doggy
anything.
style. It's like it doesn't. It's like, Mom, you sucked a dick, Mom. It's like you can't. Yeah, you can't.
And then
Oh, man.
on the show where she's like, yeah, if it's not him, I don't know who
I
it
don't
is.
know. Yeah.
And you're like, wait, how many were there? She's like,
Yep.
hey,
Oh my God.
I don't want to share, but
Yeah, Rebellious Ruth says she knows someone it happened to. Hectically heartbreaking. I just imagine all that effort, all that love, all that time. Like, there are a lot of shitty dads, but there are a lot of really good dads.
yeah.
Imagine putting in all of that and then finding out after years, like,
Ooh.
this is not my kid,
It's not
actually.
my kid.
I've been raising someone else's kid.
What would you do? Would you stay?
You kind of, it's almost like a sunken cost thing, right?
Mhm.
So if you've already put in the effort, like, it depends what age. If the kid is still 2, I suppose you could
check the deuces.
chuck, yeah. But otherwise, I think you've almost got a responsibility to stay. I think it's just, otherwise you're really breaking and ruining a person.
Do you tell the kid though when they're of age to understand?
Yeah. Everyone deserves the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I know people who've adopted kids, and then they get to a certain age and they're like, we've got to tell the kid now that they're adopted. And it's usually in their teens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's kind of obvious if, like, your white parents who adopted a black kid, but it's not so obvious.
We got something to tell you.
Yeah.
So, James.
Sanele, Saneli, we've got something to tell you. Your dad and I.
Oh, the reason we can't do your hair is because.
Yeah.
But people talk about red flags
Yes.
in relationships. We date, by the time we break up, they say, no, but you should have seen the signs.
Yeah.
Are you telling me babies have no red flags? Like when you're seeing this kid and you're like,
Well, there are famous incidents from history where people haven't known until much
later.
Yeah.
No suspicion,
Yeah.
not even one.
So they say a kid looks a lot like its father in the first couple of months of its life. Like there is a genetic predisposition in infants to look like the father, so that the father looks after them, because we are animals, and animals will throw a child out of the nest if they don't think it's theirs. So the child will look more like the father in the beginning of its life, once it's been born, and for a few months after that, so that the dad can connect mentally, make the connection. Yeah. It's a well-known phenomenon. And then obviously later on things change a little bit, but you don't always look like your dad. That's the case for most people. As you might have different hair color, you might have different eyes, you might have different skin complexion. You could be lighter, darker, you could be all kinds of things. And I think for a lot of people, it's confusing. I wonder how many dads, this is a really hard question, how many dads look at a kid and go, is it really?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, first of all, you have to have no respect for your wife at all to stop thinking that.
On that note, I've heard something very similar, I guess, with my people, my people being very specific, where they
them
say...
Tetras or the Zulus?
Right.
Just
in
guys,
Tetra.
just
Oh, the
where,
Blacks.
yes, where it said if the father denies the kid, right, during pregnancy. So if I tell you that we're expecting you, like, that's not my child at all, that when the kid comes out and it really is yours, the kid will look exactly like you, copy and paste.
Yeah.
So that's the only time.
That's probably where it comes from, though.
Yeah, that's the only time that rule would kind of apply. And that's how a lot of the family would be like, oh, he used to deny the kid.
Yes,
because the kid, the kid looks exactly like you. And that's how a lot of the dads would have to be like, okay, then I guess this is my child. This is
mine.
Yes.
Or if the kid has a bigger peepee than yours, like, you know, when you can tell. Like,
if you're kid, then you have serious problems.
Then you're like, man, okay.
Basitsana says, my brothers look like our father. I look like my brothers, not my father. What's that about? I don't think you know how logic works, Basitsana. Because if your brothers look like your father, this is like one of the earliest forms of logic equation, right? Yeah. If A plus B equals C and C minus B equals A, then, you know, so here we go.
You look like your dad, man.
You look like your dad. So you do, Basitsana, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Carl says, because the baby is bald and the dad is bald, they must be the same. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Theron says, facts upon facts, Simpiwe.
Hey, man.
Bronwyn Pillay says, my last born looked like neither of us at birth. I even asked the father if he was the father of the child that they pulled out of me. He looked like a white person's child. Yes. Says. Conga Chris says there's another Zulu test where you put the kid in front of the father's cattle.
Okay.
Is that true?
I don't know. I've grown up in the city all my life, the burbs. So those kind of tests are not. No, I don't know about
what
those.
happens when you put the child in front of the cattle.
I guess they're supposed to react or not react. I'm presuming that's the test.
Well, you know what's happening in America a lot more now, and this is exciting, is that people are going for DNA tests because they're doing these 23andMe's or these DNA things that tell you where your ancestry is.
Ancestry.com.
3% this, 12% that, whatever. And they go for these tests, right? And then they're getting their results and they're doing them for their dads or their moms or their brothers and sisters as well. And they're figuring out that they don't fit. And then they dig a little bit deeper and they find out that they don't fit.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? So if you are in a situation or in a family where you're not 100% sure, maybe you shouldn't go digging.
Yeah. Just chill.
In case, you know?
Just chill. Chill
Could
it out.
be very, just rather be happy.
Yeah.
Quietly mind your own business.
Especially if you're
I look nothing like my brothers and sisters. I'm just going to shut up and mind my business.
Yeah. I look like my brothers. They look like my dad. Basitsana, keep quiet. Okay?
Yeah. Basitsana, I think you should shut up.
All right? Because what you shall find out, we won't be there. I'll be back in Zim. We won't be there.
Nico says a lady gave birth to a little ginger child. The doctor saw that the mother was blonde and asked what color the father's hair was. She said he never took off his hat. Yeah, you see? Janet says, I've always said any guy can make a child, but it takes a real man to be a dad. So huge respect to all the real dads out there, biological or not. Yeah, I think that's very fair comments. Yeah. Janet, I've often thought that the most amazing people in the world are the adopting parents, you know, the people who actually take a kid. And, Janet, I see your daughter's a ginger. Oh, okay, well, that changes everything. I'm kidding. It's more common than you can imagine. Hey, someone said that in South Africa, and I don't know how true this is because I don't have the... Azalea says the stats are 64% of fathers are raising children that are not theirs.
You see?
Well, going back to the show Utatako, and I've watched at least easily 1,000 episodes of that show.
Wow.
Easy. Look, it was a religious thing. Like every week we'd watch that thing and it's a constitution.
Did you get a watch from the show afterwards?
No, I'm just saying like...
I see what you did there.
90% of those episodes, the dad was not the
biological.
Yes, right. And the lady couldn't account
90% of them.
90% of that show. So I do think that stat is real. Just basing off a show where they went to the rurals and they did the test, and the lady would be back and be like, "Yeah, I actually picked you. I always knew all along that you weren't the dad, but I picked you because you were financially stable than my ex-boyfriend." or
Oof.
hey, I had a life and I really don't know who the baby daddy is.
This
and
is
I kind
not
of
just guys sleeping around. These are women who have actively plotted against these men.
Yeah.
they married. They've been
Terrible.
married for 13 years. There's 4 or 5 kids later, and here's the one who's like, yeah, I'm 15 or 20, life is tough, or I want to know my dad or whatever. And then they find out that this is actually the guy you're crying about is not your dad. So hey, that's the reality though. Hey,
well, then you also get the rachadis at the funerals who like come out with all the stories, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to do with DNA tests, but some rachadi will stand up at the funeral and go, wow, let me tell you the truth about him.
Right.
And then all the tea is spilt.
Yeah.
No, it happens, this thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very glad that we dug up this very ugly thing. Now I can imagine lots of people watching and listening to the show are going to go off and have their DNA test done. A lot of people going, I'm just going to check this out.
It's
I've never really
right now.
I've never really liked that guy.
Right.
Not if he is my dad. I think we may be helping people. That's what we're doing. So when are you doing your next show?
Next show is going to be actually, this week is quiet. Thank God. Next one is in Tanzania on Saturday.
You see, we're not going to fly to Tanzania, so I'm not even going to let you plug it.
Mind
you, there might be someone watching in Tanzania. Go ahead, plug it.
Yeah, Tanzania, the punchline. Then from there, I leave from Tanzania to Kenya. Then from Kenya, I'll be back here.
Okay.
And
very good.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Then
all right,
do
man.
the thing.
Well, it's very nice to meet you, Q. Do people call you Q?
Yes, Q Dube.
Okay.
What's it short for?
What is it?
Zita.
Okay, so I was going to say, must we just call you Dube?
Yeah.
Because we could have done that as well.
You see? Zita is the name. It means to conquer an enemy.
Very good.
Yeah.
It's a very Zulu name.
So yeah, it's
it
Zulu
is.
Ndebele.
Oh, okay. So you're not that far. So you can say 69.
Yeah. 69.
69. Yeah. All right, listen. Dube.
Yes, sir.
There we go. Has shared the stage with all kinds of people. Trevor Noah, Basketmouth, and Kansime Ann. Oh, I love her.
Oh,
she's fantastic. We got to get her in here again. When is she coming to South Africa? Love that woman. Loiso Gola and many others. And he is performing in Tanzania, which means unless you're going to be in Tanzania, you're going to miss out on him. But he'll be back in South Africa soon with a whole lot more of that. And you've got your own podcast.
Yes, Sensitive podcast.
Very good.
So yeah, you can check that out. It's on YouTube. And
very good.
We just talk crap. That's
all right, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Simpiwe.
Thank you, Garrett.
And have a good weekend, everybody. Your last weekend of electricity. Enjoy it. We'll see you. Yeah, we'll see you on Monday, and then we've got, like that Wednesday off for voting. And beware the machoshas. That's what we've learned this morning on the show. Beware the machoshas.